When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and today we have a really fun guest. And Anke Middelmann is here, and I believe she's from France. It is very late in the evening for her right now doing this podcast. So thank you so much, Anke, for joining us. And we're going to be jumping into everything about designing your future that reflects you. What does that mean? I know in all of my education, for designing our life. This is part of what this podcast is about, designing your life. You are either going to step up to the plate and know that life is going to happen regardless if you decide to show up or join in or not. But life could be happening for you, and every single thing that is around you today, you have designed and brought into your life exactly the way it is. That kind of lays heavy on some people, because if they're not happy with their life, the first thing they would say is, no, I didn't do all of this. This is just what happened to me in life. And Anke and I are really going to be diving into how life is really happening for you, and how personal development, other improvements that we can do with ourselves is really part of how we can, I guess what I would say, live your best life. And I hate to say that, but really, when you wake up every day, are you living your best life? Do you feel that this is it, that you are happy? And if you were to die tomorrow, you would have accomplished the things you wanted to, been friends with the people you wanted to, had memorable experiences, put yourself out there? Or do you feel that, no, I'm not ready. If I die tomorrow, there's so much more I want to do, but I can't. And are you sitting in the, but I can't? Well, hopefully today we will shift that for you as Anke and I dive into that a little bit more. But before we get to Anke and all of her brilliance, I want to thank our current sponsor of today's show, Peaceful Living. Why do we allow stress to compound in our lives, affecting our sleep and our daily rituals? The truth is, we all live with stress, but imagine what it would feel like to not suffer from stress. Are you ready to feel better, sleep better, and change your overall relationship with tension? Peaceful Living can help you bring more peaceful moments into your day. Peaceful Living offers simple tools, live stream and on-demand classes, and customized self-care success plans. Imagine if you had a simple way to slow down and restore the energy without taking big chunks of time away from your schedule. Now that's speaking to me right there. We know it's possible. We're here to help, and the founder, Roberta Hughes, will be your guide each step of the way. Visit Peaceful Living at bit.ly Peaceful Living here at your fingertips to begin your journey with a free membership. Use code LEAP to receive your first month for free. Thank you so much, Peaceful Living and Roberta Hughes, for offering that discount to our members. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Anke. By becoming a coach, Anke has come full circle. She lives her passion and purpose every day, thanks to mentors and coaches who empowered the reflections, insights, shifts, and decisions that brought her here. And this is exactly what she will be for you, a supportive guide who accompanies, encourages, and inspires you to find and bring to life your purpose and to design a future that reflects the real and unique you. And Anke, welcome to the show.
Great pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
It's so exciting. And you have a plethora of experience of what has happened to you, and things that you've brought into your life and paths that you've gone down to bring you to this place. So let's really start by going back and talking about what are some of the leaps that you've taken? I know, you moved to Europe, right? You moved to Europe or from Europe to the US at 22. Two suitcases, no job. These are the stories everyone's like, I want to hear more about that. Tell us, let's go back. That kind of set your path for you at a very early age.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think my path was set even earlier because I come from a family where my parents, they were the ultimate globetrotters. And so I'm originally from Germany, although I don't sound it. But before coming to the US at 22, life saw me go to the UK and also to Belgium. So that was kind of set in motion. I didn't realize until later that this was going to be a pattern in my life. This is one of the things we don't realize, that some of the things we start in early life, they will accompany us later. But so at 22, there I was in the US with 2 suitcases and no job, but with incredible confidence that I would find one. And I did. To this day, I think it must have been serendipity that I was in the right place at the right time. At that age, you don't really think about these things. You just go for it. So I didn't know at the age of 22 that, several decades later, I would be living in France, but that I would have gone through many professional and personal hoops along the way. So the leaps have been there all the time. But that, in a way, you're right, was the first big leap where I had to decide that I was going to take a very different direction. And not stay in Europe, but to go for something completely different. It was scary, but there was this confidence, the invincibility of youth, I think, that accompanied me on that one. So
that is just what I was going to say, was just the confidence of youth and knowing, I look back and I always say, I'm surprised I made it to this age, with some of the stupid things I did back in my youth and thinking we were invincible. Right. But again, that confidence and that assurity and certainty that you were going to get a job really is what landed you to the path that you took. And what were some of those positions that you worked in, or what were some of those favorite jobs or careers that you built throughout those years before you landed back in France?
Well, so in the United States, I did actually work for a European institution, which was the European Commission. So I worked for, a public institution, if you like. And it was a great job. I was managing editor of a magazine that informed the American public about European affairs. But after 7 years, then married and with a small child, we were drawn back to the old world. And then, so that was another leap, because again, I didn't have a job at this time. My husband did. So it was a leap into the unknown for me. It was challenging because I couldn't get the same kind of work that I'd done before, which I really enjoyed. And that it sends you on a little downward slope, because I was doing all sorts of things that didn't really hit those nice buttons of making my heart sing. However, I realized that we needed those, that it was a bit of a downward step, but I needed it in order to leap back up, because ultimately I realized that the stuff that I needed was diversity. I needed that international diversity. I'd grown up in it. And so at the tender age of 41, I decided to just chuck in everything I was doing and go back to university to get a degree, to do training in large international companies to make people more aware of the cultural differences. Again, it was a leap because I hadn't studied in 20 years. And then, there was no certainty that I was actually going to get work out of this at the end of the degree. But I did. And then we decided to take the next leap, because just getting a master's degree wasn't enough. It was then also time to move the whole family from the UK to France. That was a massive leap because it was full of unknowns. But it's what I learned from all of those things is, and I said it before, you need the downward leap before you can leap back up, is that everything has two sides, like every coin has two sides. And so you need the challenging moments in order to get to the good moment.
Right.
You know, you can't have the one without the other. And if you only have the good moments, you're completely unprepared for the challenges that might arise. So I was beginning to develop an inkling at this point of what I didn't like and what I did like, but it was like these voices were competing, that external voice of what I should be doing and the internal voice of what I wanted to be doing. And I would say that they've been tiny leaps to get me here, to where I am now, where I feel so comfortable. In terms of having had different jobs, training in companies, working for universities, where there were always bits that I felt really good about, but now I just feel good about the whole package. And it's allowing yourself to listen to that internal voice that will come out when you're not happy. And then effecting a change gradually.
You know, Anke, you mentioned something that I think many of our listeners might not even have realized, because right when you said it, I was thinking it in my head, which was all the cultural differences and the diversity of where you moved. That alone, for, you know, someone in the United States moving to state, yes, there's small cultural differences, but moving from country to country, that is a completely different cultural difference. There's
absolutely
language barriers, there's the diversity of the area. So that alone, I'm sure, really helped you expand in areas where many individuals never have the opportunity to do that. But when you talked about that stepping back or that spiraling down until, you know, you take that next leap, I really see that as a moment where we step back and we just truly kind of separate ourselves from the moment of what we're in and what we're doing and look from the outside in to make the determinations of what is my next move? Is this, it's kind of how we started the podcast. Is this the life that I want to be living? And we can find ourselves trapped in a life that we thought maybe was for us, or a job that we thought was us. And it could have been for the moment or the time, you know, like the crazy, confident 22-year-old landing in the US with 2 suitcases. Maybe at 60, you're like, there's no way I would do that anymore. I don't feel confident doing that. And that wouldn't be something I would do today. But that's okay, because we have seasons within our lives of when we're willing to do those things. And you're right. We're never guaranteed that we are going to be handed something, especially female entrepreneurs. A lot of them that I work with today that are our listeners, you're not guaranteed, but why would you pass up the opportunity to just see what's possible, like you did going to getting your master's degree? We're never guaranteed after certified trainings, or, you know, when I left corporate America as a business consultant for, you know, decades, I wasn't guaranteed to get a client on my own as an entrepreneur. I had to go get that. I had to work for that. I had to want that.
Absolutely. And I think that's it, that I often talk about external and internal voices, and the external voices will tell us one thing, and it's usually those societal expectations and norms. And there's the internal voice that rebels and that says, maybe not quite.
Yeah.
Or actually what you really want to be doing is this. And, you know, I think for people in general, and this is for everybody, change is difficult. And breaking out of that mold that we've grown up in for a long time is a very difficult thing to do, because you're going into the unknown. And so, as you said, leaving one thing to go for another, it sounds great when you talk about it in retrospect, but at the time, it's a bit scary.
Yeah. You know, talking about the subject of the podcast today, designing your future that reflects you. In working with clients, what was you at some point in your life, and so let's talk about that. At some point, you decided I'm going to design this future for myself and my current life that really reflects me. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? What really pushed you in that direction? Define that for us.
I think it was an alignment of who I am with what I do. And one of the things that I've often found is that we try very hard to meet external goals very quickly: performance, achievement, make the money, buy the house, etc., etc. And that's great. At the same time, if it causes you stress, there is a lack of alignment between the two. And you may be buying the wrong house, or you may be in the wrong job to get the right performance. And so for me, it became a question of saying, do I really want to continue doing this in order to achieve this material goal in a way that doesn't align with my values and my personality? And so this started me on a journey in a way of self-awareness by actually understanding what makes me tick. That to me, it's the core of us. It's acknowledging what my strengths are, what my values are. And most of us don't think about what our values are, and they are so crucial. And this is work I do systematically, because with your values, you can align your external world with the internal part of you. Yeah. And that will help you gain the self-awareness to then begin to design what you like and what you don't like. It's not an easy process. I found that it's also one that was not effective. And you said it in your introduction of me. I did it with the help of many other people. It's very important to have that feedback from the outside, to have the information, the input from other people, to not tell you which way to go, but to kind of guide you, to give you direction, to make you think, to give you the clarity and the confidence. Yeah. So if you ask me about my purpose, this is very much it. It's to help people become comfortable with who they are, because that means that they will be able to achieve the greatest thing, whatever that is for them.
Yeah.
It could be starting their own company. It could be going into a completely different career. It could be all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And every listener out there, I just want you to, take a moment and think to yourself, is everything aligned in your life really serving you? Is it creating happiness? Do you feel that you could possibly have some reflection on what's happening in your life and step back and journal that and kind of pick up on, there's just something not right? Is there a shift that you need to make? Maybe you're in a position and you're not happy with that. It's not that you're not happy with the company. Maybe you would like to move to a different position within the company, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're exhausted and you feel that might not be for you and you really just want a job. That's okay. What are the decisions that you need to make? And Anke hit it on the nail on the head, like mentors and coaches and empowering and individuals that make you think, ask you the questions, ask you to step back and reflect. We need that time for ourselves. I know we live in a world where it's just go, 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 go. And I love visiting different countries where they don't feel that way, where they're really in the moment and they really celebrate the land and life and the sun rising and the sun setting and all of the things that I think so many of us take for granted. And they live a very happy life. And, if you're in America, especially, and, many of our listeners are, it's about, the bigger, better thing. And like you said, how much money you have. And if we look at social media, oh my gosh, it's about who is the biggest influencer, or it's crazy. It's crazy who and what is idolized in the United States compared to, us being supportive of ourselves. We only have one life to live, right, Anke? This is it.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
And
Yeah.
you made that shift later in life, but you have so many years left to live. And I think that, so many of us get to the end of our life and decide when ailments start happening, or anything that's gonna deteriorate or take you to your grave quicker. Those are the years that you don't have as much control, and those are the years where so many humans start living in regret of what they coulda, shoulda, would have done if they just had more time. So just ponder that. You have the time now. And,
Yes.
Anke, what do you find with your clients? Give us an example of a client that you're working with today, that through decision-making and reflection and insights and questions that you've asked them, they've really been encouraged or inspired to do something maybe they've always wanted to do their entire life. Is there any specific client that you can share with us?
I've had clients who through working with me have discovered that they no longer wanted to stay in the corporate world, in a sort of scientific area, but that by doing the values work in particular, that what they wanted to do was to go into interior design, which was a completely different area, but it was something that resonated all the time. This is great. And then I've had clients who felt that they should throw all their entire life up into the air and start something completely from scratch, only to realize that actually what I thought I wanted to do as a main job is not what makes my heart sing enough to do it, but I'd like to do it as a side job. So these are all things that become clear in this process. And I think so designing a life, and I mean, I call my program The Beauty of Reinvention. I don't want people to think that it means that you have to get rid of everything and start completely afresh. It is very much a work in progress. And sometimes, it's like a journey. It really is a journey of gaining greater self-awareness about who you are, and then this thinking process and discovery and curiosity process of how can I put this value into action? How can I increase what I do well and I really enjoy doing better? And that was my case. I figured out very early that what I really enjoyed doing was to help people understand better. I did this intercultural training for many years in companies because for me it was important that people understand and appreciate the diversity, but also to gain clarity and to gain confidence and to just understand themselves. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that I consistently worked on over the years. And then I realized that actually, in order to do any of those things, you really need to do that deep personal work. Yeah. So that you can align yourself on the inside and the outside. Yeah. So obviously, this kind of work takes many different forms for everybody. However, I would say that if anybody feels that there's an inkling that there's something and I can't put my finger on it, but there's something there, to say, if you're on the fence, think about if you continue in this track for another 20, 30 years, what would your life look like? And then see what you think might happen. And if that doesn't sit, think about what could it look like if I made a change? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was my trigger, actually, that if I continued in the track I was in, I was worried about becoming a miserable grandmother. That was really not where I wanted to be. So, I realized that optimism and positivity is something that makes me thrive. And so I had to go for it.
Yeah. You know, my one of my daughters says something to me the other day when she was trying to explain to one of my grandkids that I was her mom. Right. So this is my
Mm-hmm.
mom, just like I'm your mom. And she said, and by the way, the grandma you have is not the mom I had. And I just thought that was funny because I have grown and I've become and created and designed a happier life for myself that isn't rushed, that isn't, leaving my kids at home and traveling. And it isn't, I spend more time with my grandkids. I'm much more relaxed. The little things don't bother me like they used to. And I just don't want to be unhappy. I want to be happy. So I do the things that make me happy. And I think in the past, I felt maybe that was selfish to choose those things or take that route because it was always about everybody else and never about me. But we need to understand if it's not about us and we're the ones that are the circle of our life, if we're not the ones that are happy, then honestly, the people around you become miserable because you're not showing up happy for yourself.
Exactly.
And I love this work that you do with values. Values are the core of everything that we are. And how can our listeners get more of this? I know that there's a 30-minute discovery session. I have the link already put into the notes. And I'm going to encourage every single one of you, if you're at a crossroad or if you're listening to this and reflecting and thinking, man, I have to make some shifts. She's right. Like right now, I'm thinking something in my life is not right, but I don't know what it is. And I don't know what to do about it. That's generally where you start. I'm going to encourage you to book a 30-minute session with Anke. And then I also have your website, ankemiddelmann.com. What will they find on the website? How would you want them to connect with you?
So they can connect with me on the website by booking in a call. And people can also contact me directly by email on beautyofreinvention@gmail.com, all in one word. That's the thing that makes me tick the most, is because I find that beauty is one of my values, and reinvention, this idea of developing somebody, is just also one of my values, and I think it's just a beautiful process. So those are the two best ways to connect with me, and I would be delighted to have anybody call me, and I'd be really, really happy to discuss. And as you were speaking, Colleen, I realized we're both talking about our children and our grandchildren, and so we have a lifetime of this development that's brought us to this place. But here I am because I want to help people do this earlier.
Same.
so that their wonderful lifetime is as long as it allows.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're at the age, that I love to help my daughters and, my sons at the ages of, in their late 20s and their 30s. And I don't want them to not live their life. I'm constantly encouraging them as a couple. You need to go on vacations. You need to get away more. You need to go on more dates. You are the foundation of your family. And so many of them are like, no, I don't want to leave the kids, or, even if they get to I can't afford it. It's like, you can afford to go away for a weekend. You could literally drive with a tent somewhere in Arizona and go away for the weekend and have just time alone. And those are things that you can't get back. Okay, we can't go backwards. We can't go to the past and get back any of that time. So I loved having you here today, Anke. You're just you shine. You're just a beautiful soul. And values they are the foundation of everything of who we are. So if you've not had anyone ever assist you through understanding what your values are and going through an exercise of values and kind of pinpointing what those values look like for you, it is very important for you to understand that. And I know Anke can take you through that. So please book a call with her. You have nothing to lose. Check out our website at ankemiddelmann.com. And Anke, thank you so much for being a guest on today's show. It was just really an honor.
Thank you so much, Colleen, for having me. It was a real pleasure to be with you and to have this conversation with you. I've loved it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to remind all of you, as I do every show, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. It's it. This is it. This is your time to design your future that reflects you. It's your time to dig in and understand your values. It's your time to design the life that you desire. If you don't do that, nobody's going to do it for you. You're the one that has to do that. So choose to be happy, choose to be delighted in a life that you love. And that really is you, right? We wear clothes that just bring out the passion of who we are. We don't wear clothes that other people might, wear or choose for them. So why are you wearing a life that doesn't reflect you? Wear the life that does reflect you. So thank you again, everyone, for being here today and joining us. It was wonderful to have you all here. And again, until next time, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery, where you learned the tools to create a life by design. Remember, you are the only you there is, and you are the only you that will ever be. Be you and be strong, because you are brilliant, and the world needs you at your best. We cannot wait for you to join us again next time.